Various characters who, even in a few lines, carry deep and complex meanings. Many read the scriptures without delving into these intriguing figures. But what do we miss by not fully understanding the role and symbolism of these beings? Imagine unraveling together the mysteries of the 24 elders. The Ophanim, Behemoth, Leviathan, Cherubim, Lucifer, the Angel of Death, Seraphim, demons, and Melchizedek. Each of them not only enriches our understanding of faith, but also challenges our perceptions of good and evil, power and holiness. The 24 elders mentioned in the book of Revelation are figures shrouded in mystery and reverence. They appear seated on thrones around God's main throne, dressed in white robes and wearing golden crowns. This is not only a visually powerful image, but also symbolizes authority and purity. However, who are these elders really? The Bible does not offer a clear identification, leading to various interpretations over the years. Many scholars believe they represent the church, especially the redeemed faithful, while others argue they may be angelic figures. This ambiguity allows for rich theological and spiritual exploration. Let's imagine these elders as representatives of the church, a symbol of victory and reward for the faithful. Each throne, each golden crown, could be seen as a recognition of commitment and faith. Imagine that you are in a moment of difficulty, and think of these elders as examples of perseverance and divine reward. This can be a powerful motivator to maintain faith and hope, even in the most challenging moments. And if these elders are angels, the perspective shifts to a representation of divine power and majesty, where each of these beings serves directly to the Creator. The idea of 24 thrones around the main throne is also fascinating. This number, 24, can be seen as a representation of totality and inclusion, perhaps symbolizing all the tribes of Israel or all the apostles of Christ. In any case, the number 24 is not accidental and brings a depth of meaning. We can apply this concept in our lives by considering that we all have a special place in the divine plan, that we are part of something greater and significant. Reflecting on this can bring a sense of belonging and purpose. There is a serene beauty in the image of the elders casting their crowns before God's throne, acknowledging His sovereignty. This act of worship and submission is a powerful reminder that, regardless of our position or achievements, we must always recognize the greatness of God. In our daily lives, this can translate into humility and gratitude, recognizing that everything we have and are comes from a greater source. Practicing gratitude daily can be a way to emulate this symbolic gesture. The elders also participate in the song of praise, proclaiming God's worthiness to receive glory, honor, and power. This is a clear example of how worship is central to the apocalyptic vision. Worshiping God through music, prayer, and actions can bring spiritual depth and a sense of connection with the divine. For example, you might start your day with a song that lifts your spirit or a prayer of thanks, aligning your heart with this practice of continuous worship. The idea that these elders represent the church also highlights the importance of community and spiritual leadership. In the church, elders are often seen as guides and examples for other members. This model of leadership can be inspiring in other areas of life, such as at work or in the family. Being a leader means serving and guiding with wisdom and humility, qualities exemplified by the 24 elders. Seeking to develop these qualities can strengthen your relationships and impact on the community. The elders, in their white robes, represent the purity and righteousness given to us through Christ. The color white is often associated with spiritual cleanliness and renewal. This can be a constant reminder of the need to seek justice and holiness in our daily lives. Perhaps you can make a commitment to regular self-evaluation, reflecting on your actions and attitudes to align more closely with these values. Additionally, the golden crowns indicate a divine reward. In the Bible, crowns often symbolize victory, authority, and honor. This suggests that there is a heavenly reward for those who remain faithful. Thinking about this can bring comfort and motivation, especially during difficult times. The idea of a heavenly reward can be a powerful incentive to continue striving to live a life that pleases God. Finally, the image of the elders around God's throne is a vision of community and collective worship. This reinforces the importance of fellowship with other believers and active participation in church life. Being part of a faith community can offer support, encouragement, and opportunities for spiritual growth. If you are not already part of one, consider getting more involved in your local church or Bible study group, and so While the 24 elders offer us a rich and multifaceted vision of worship and spiritual leadership, they also leave us with a sense of mystery and reverence. This prepares us to explore the next fascinating figure of the Bible, the Ophanim, the mysterious wheels of God seen by Ezekiel. The Ophanim, also known as the wheels of God, are a fascinating vision described by the prophet Ezekiel in the Old Testament. These wheels are mentioned in his initial vision, where he sees a storm approaching accompanied by angelic creatures known as cherubim. At the center of this vision are the mysterious wheels that accompany these creatures. The wheels are described as having the appearance of sparkling topaz and are formed as if one wheel is within another. These wheels had a peculiar function. They could move in any direction without needing to turn. This means they could move forward, backward, sideways, or up and down without changing their orientation. Ezekiel's description suggests that the wheels were full of eyes around their rims, symbolizing God's omniscience. The ability of the wheels to move in any direction reflects God's omnipresent nature and his ability to be everywhere at once. Each wheel accompanied one of the cherubim, suggesting an intimate connection between these angelic beings and the divine presence. Ezekiel's vision is often interpreted as a representation of God's glory and his power to move freely throughout the universe. The wheels were not just simple wagon wheels, but complex devices that demonstrated God's majesty and authority over all creation. Ezekiel describes these wheels in great detail, highlighting their impressive structure and function. Within this vision, the wheels also symbolize God's mobility and his ability to interact with his creation dynamically and constantly. The presence of eyes around the rims indicates that God sees everything and is aware of all things. Nothing escapes his perception. This characteristic is a powerful reminder of God's continuous vigilance over his people and his works. Ezekiel saw that when the cherubim moved, the wheels moved with them, indicating perfect harmony and divine action. The role of the Ophanim in Ezekiel's vision can also be seen as a symbol of divine judgment and providence. The wheels, filled with eyes, may suggest God's justice, which is both comprehensive and impartial. They move at the command of the cherubim, who in turn are moved by the Spirit of God. This in every movement. The vision of these wheels reinforces the idea that God is in control of all things. The image of wheels within wheels has also been interpreted as a representation of the complexity of the universe created by God. The intricate structure of the wheels suggests that the universe is full of order and purpose, with each part playing its specific role in the grand scheme of things. This vision can be understood as a testimony to God's wisdom and creative power. Ezekiel, upon seeing this vision, was confronted with the vastness and complexity of divine creation. The Ophanim, with their ability to move freely and their association with the cherubim, also represent the swiftness with which God can respond to the needs of his people. The wheels are a symbol of divine readiness and efficiency. They rise when the cherubim rise and stop when the cherubim stop, showing perfect synchronization in divine action. This reflects the proactive nature of God, who is always ready to act on behalf of his faithful. The vision of wheels within wheels is one of the most enigmatic and powerful images in the Bible. It leaves us with a sense of wonder and reverence before the complexity and magnificence of God's creation. Ezekiel's detailed descriptions serve to remind us of God's greatness and his ability to control and direct the universe in ways that are beyond our understanding. This vision is a testimony to God's majesty and glory. The Ophanim, as an integral part of Ezekiel's vision, prepare us to explore another powerful figure in the Bible, Behemoth. This animal, described in the book of Job, has generated debates and speculations over the centuries about its true nature and identity. Behemoth is one of the most enigmatic creatures described in the Bible, appearing in the book of Job. This powerful beast is portrayed as a symbol of brute strength and natural majesty. When challenged by God, Job is prompted to consider the magnitude of this creature, which stands out for its immense strength and physical structure. The description of Behemoth in the book of Job includes impressive details, such as its ability to move its tail like a cedar and the strength in its loins and muscles. There is considerable debate among scholars about Behemoth's true identity. Some suggest it might be a hippopotamus due to certain physical characteristics described, such as its herbivorous diet and aquatic environment. Others, however, point to the possibility that behemoth could be an elephant, given its enormous stature and strength. Regardless of its specific identity, behemoth is used in the biblical narrative to demonstrate the grandeur of divine creation and the insignificance of man before it. The description of behemoth as the first of the works of God indicates its prominent position in the order of creation. It is presented as a creature that cannot be tamed or subdued by man, highlighting God's sovereignty over all creatures. This characteristic serves as a powerful reminder of God's greatness and His control over the natural world. Behemoth's strength is a testament to God's creative ability and the complexity of His works. The presence of behemoth in the book of Job also serves as a metaphor for the challenges and adversities faced by Job himself. Just as Job struggles to understand his suffering, behemoth represents natural forces beyond human control. This analogy provides a profound reflection on the human condition and the need to trust in divine wisdom. Behemoth, then, is not just a physical creature, but also a symbol of the uncontrollable forces of life. The mention of behemoth's tail, compared to a cedar, is particularly intriguing. This comparison suggests remarkable strength and physical presence. In ancient literature, the cedar was often used as a symbol of greatness and resilience. Therefore, describing behemoth's tail in this way further emphasizes its power and majesty. This detail also fuels the debate about behemoth's true identity, with some scholars arguing that this description is more consistent with a dinosaur than with a hippopotamus or elephant. Behemoth's bones are described as tubes of bronze and its limbs as bars of iron, indicating an extremely robust structure. These descriptions reinforce the idea that behemoth is practically invulnerable to human interference. This invulnerability serves as a symbol of the independence of natural forces from any human control, reflecting the need for humility and recognition of human limitations before divine creation. Furthermore, behemoth's habitat, described as near rivers and marshes, suggests an aquatic environment. This supports the theory that it could be a hippopotamus. However, some details of the description, such as the tail like a cedar, challenge this interpretation. The complexity and ambiguity of these biblical descriptions make behemoth a fascinating creature for theologians and scientists, who continue to debate its true nature and significance. Behemoth is also mentioned in the context of comparison with another powerful biblical creature, Leviathan. These two creatures are often seen as complementary representations of the terrestrial and aquatic forces that God created. Behemoth, with its brute strength and dominant presence, and Leviathan, with its terrifying power in the sea, together exemplify the variety and grandeur of divine creation. This duality between the two creatures provides a broader view of the extent of God's creative power. The representation of behemoth in the book of Job not only challenges human understanding of creation, but also serves as a means for God to illustrate His own majesty and power. By considering behemoth, Job is led to recognize his own smallness and the greatness of God. This recognition is a crucial step in his journey of suffering and redemption. The narrative uses the figure of behemoth to promote deeper reflection on the relationship between man and the divine. And so, while exploring the majesty of behemoth, we are naturally led to consider another powerful and terrifying creature mentioned in the Bible, Leviathan. This sea creature, described in vivid detail, promises to further expand our understanding of the grandeur of divine creation. Leviathan is one of the most enigmatic and terrifying creatures mentioned in the Bible. Appearing in various passages, such as in the books of Job, Psalms, and Isaiah, Leviathan is described as a sea beast of immense power and ferocity. This creature, often compared to a dragon or sea monster, symbolizes chaos and the untamability of natural forces. The detailed description in Job chapter 41 offers a fascinating view of its physical and behavioral characteristics. According to Job 41, Leviathan possesses an armor of scales so impenetrable that no weapons of war can pierce it. Its teeth are terrifyingly sharp, and its breath emits fire and smoke, creating the image of an almost mythical being. The mere presence of Leviathan in the sea was enough to terrify sailors who avoided crossing its path. This description not only highlights the creature's strength, but also its ability to inspire fear and reverence. There are various interpretations of Leviathan's identity. Some scholars believe it could be a giant crocodile, while others suggest it might be a marine dinosaur, such as a plesiosaur. The biblical description of Leviathan has also been used to illustrate the primordial chaos that God tamed when creating the world, symbolizing the disordered forces that only God can control. This interpretation reinforces the idea that Leviathan is a symbol of God's sovereign power over all creation. Leviathan's appearance in Isaiah 27:1 highlights its nature as an evil force to be destroyed at the end of times. Isaiah describes Leviathan as a swift and twisting serpent that God will defeat with his powerful sword. This passage suggests that Leviathan represents not only a physical creature, but also a personification of evil that will ultimately be vanquished by God. The struggle between God and Leviathan symbolizes the final victory of good over evil. In Psalm 74:14, Leviathan is mentioned again, this time as a creature that God crushed and fed the inhabitants of the desert with its pieces. This powerful image emphasizes God's authority over all creatures, even the most fearsome ones. God's ability to dominate Leviathan and use it for a specific purpose demonstrates his omnipotence and absolute control over creation. This psalm reinforces the faithful's confidence in God's protective power. Leviathan also serves as a reminder of human fragility in the face of natural forces. The detailed description in Job 41 emphasizes the futility of human attempts to tame or defeat Leviathan. This symbolizes the need to acknowledge our own limitations and trust in divine protection and wisdom. Leviathan, therefore, functions both as a symbol of chaos and as a representation of the divine order imposed upon that chaos. Leviathan's description includes impressive details about its ability to create chaos in the sea. Its mere movement causes waves and foam, disturbing the calm waters. This ability to transform a peaceful environment into a scene of turbulence is a powerful metaphor for the unpredictable forces of nature and evil that can arise suddenly. However, God's sovereignty over Leviathan assures that these forces, no matter how chaotic, are under his control. Leviathan symbolism can also be seen in various cultures and mythologies around the world. In many traditions, creatures similar to Leviathan represent the primordial chaos that needs to be conquered for order to be established. This universality of the sea monster myth reflects a common understanding of the struggle between order and chaos, as well as the crucial role of deities in maintaining balance in the world. Beyond its symbolic role, Leviathan is also a creature of fascinating biological interest. The biblical descriptions have sparked speculations about its true nature and existence. While many consider Leviathan a mythical being, discussions about its identity continue to inspire the imagination of theologians, scientists, and Bible enthusiasts. This fascination highlights the capacity of biblical narratives to transcend time and continue to provoke curiosity and reflection. Thus, considering the power and mystery of Leviathan, we are led to reflect on another significant celestial figure, the cherubim. These celestial beings play a crucial role in divine protection and worship, offering yet another layer of complexity and wonder to the biblical narrative. Cherubim are mentioned several times in the Bible as celestial beings of great importance. Immediately after the fall of Adam and Eve, the cherubim appear guarding the way to the tree of life in the Garden of Eden, armed with a flaming sword. This marks the beginning of their role as protectors of divine sanctity and presence. Cherubim are described with multiple faces and wings, representing their ability to see and protect in all directions, a powerful image of divine vigilance. In the book of Exodus, God instructs Moses to create images of cherubim for the tabernacle, specifically for the mercy seat, which covered the Ark of the Covenant. These carved figures had wings that extended over the ark, symbolizing God's continuous protection over his people and the holiness of the covenant. The presence of the cherubim in the most sacred place of the tabernacle underscores their importance and their role as guardians of divine glory. They were not merely decorative, but carried profound theological significance. Cherubim also appear in the visions of the prophet Ezekiel, where they are described in impressive detail. Each has 4 faces: a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle, symbolizing different aspects of God's creation. These visions highlight the complexity and majesty of the cherubim, who serve directly in God's presence. Their multiple wings and the ability to move instantly in any direction reinforce the idea that they are beings of extreme mobility and perception. Ezekiel sees them as beings that support God's throne, indicating their crucial role in the divine cosmos. Additionally, cherubim are often associated with continuous worship. In the book of Isaiah, we see the seraphim, who are often confused with cherubim, singing "Holy, Holy, Holy" before God's throne. This suggests that part of the role of the cherubim is to participate in unceasing worship and glorification of God. This constant worship highlights the purity and devotion of these celestial beings. They are models of devotion and service, reflecting God's glory in a constant and uninterrupted manner. The figure of the cherubim is also found in various other ancient cultures, where they are seen as sacred guardians and protectors. In art and architecture, they are often depicted as winged beings guarding doors and thrones. These cultural representations reinforce the idea that cherubim are protectors of the sacred, not only in the Judeo-Christian tradition, but from a broader, more universal perspective. This transcultural characteristic of the cherubim underscores their role as guardians of the divine. The cherubim, with their multiple faces and extended wings, also symbolize God's omnipresence. Their various faces represent different realms of creation: human, wild, domestic, and aerial, indicating that God's presence extends throughout all of creation. Omnipresence is one of the most significant divine attributes, and the cherubim are a visual representation of this quality. They remind us that there is no place where God's presence cannot be felt, and that He is always vigilant. In Revelation, the cherubim appear again, this time as the four living creatures around God's throne, participating in celestial worship. They sing praises to God and declare His holiness and power. This final vision of the cherubim in the New Testament completes the image of beings that are both protectors and worshipers, always close to God's throne. They symbolize order and reverence in the divine presence, a powerful image of devotion and protection. The interaction of the cherubim with humans is limited and filled with reverence. Only the high priests were allowed to approach the presence of the cherubim in the Holy of Holies once a year, during Yom Kippur. This restriction underscores the holiness of the space where the cherubim reside and the seriousness of their function as guardians of the divine presence. They are a constant reminder of the sanctity and respect that must be maintained when approaching God. The cherubim, with their detailed descriptions and significant roles, offer a rich vision of the spiritual world. They are more than simple angels. They are guardians of holiness, perpetual worshipers, and symbols of divine omnipresence. Their presence in the Bible, from the Garden of Eden to the apocalyptic visions, invites us to reflect on God's majesty and glory in profound and meaningful ways. And so, while we marvel at the cherubim and their protective and worshipful role, we are led to consider the story of Lucifer, a cherub who fell from grace due to pride, and his transformation into Satan. Lucifer, whose name means light-bearer, is one of the most controversial and fascinating figures in the Bible. Originally, he was a high-ranking angel, possibly a cherub, known for his exceptional beauty and wisdom. However, Lucifer's story is a tragedy of pride and fall. According to Isaiah 14:12-15, Lucifer exalted himself in his heart and desired to be equal to God, resulting in his expulsion from heaven. This episode serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of pride and unbridled ambition. Lucifer's pride led him to believe that he could usurp God's throne. This rebellion was an act of extreme arrogance, and he managed to drag a third of the angels with him in his fall. This action not only transformed him into Satan, the adversary, but also established the foundation for the ongoing battle between good and evil. Lucifer's fall serves as a warning about the corrosive nature of pride and the importance of humility. Spiritually, this story highlights the need to recognize our position before God and avoid arrogance. After his fall, Lucifer became the leader of the fallen angels, also known as demons. He is described in various biblical passages as the enemy of humanity, constantly attempting to lead humans astray from God's path. His ability to transform into an angel of light indicates his capacity to deceive and seduce. The biblical narrative suggests that Satan not only opposes God but also seeks to corrupt divine creation. His influence is felt in various attempts to lead humanity astray through temptation and deception. The book of Job offers a glimpse into Lucifer's activity after his fall. He appears before God, accusing Job of being faithful only because of the material blessings he received. God allows Satan to test Job, resulting in a series of calamities that challenge Job's faith. This story illustrates Satan's role as the accuser, questioning the faithfulness and integrity of humans before God. Job's persistence in his faith, despite the trials, serves as a testament to unwavering faith amid adversity. In the New Testament, Jesus frequently confronts Lucifer and his followers. One of the most notable examples is the temptation of Jesus in the desert, where Satan tries to persuade him to disobey God. Jesus resists the temptations, reaffirming his commitment to the divine will. This episode highlights the importance of resisting temptation and trusting in God's word as a guide for life. Jesus' victory over Satan is a prelude to the final victory over evil promised in the Bible. Lucifer's influence is depicted in various ways in the Bible. He is described as the prince of this world in John 12:31, indicating his temporary influence over the worldly system. This influence is seen in actions that promote sin, injustice, and rebellion against God. However, the Bible also makes it clear that this influence is limited and temporary. In the end times, Lucifer will be ultimately defeated and cast into the lake of fire, as described in the book of Revelation. This final defeat represents the complete victory of good over evil. Paul's writings also mention the struggle against the forces of evil, including Lucifer. In Ephesians 6:12, Paul warns that the struggle of Christians is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers and authorities of darkness. This passage emphasizes the spiritual nature of the battle that Christians face and the need to be equipped with the armor of God to withstand the enemy's attacks. This metaphor of armor includes elements such as truth, righteousness, faith, and the Word of God, which are essential for defense against Satan's temptations and deceptions. Lucifer is also associated with the persecution of Christians. In 1 Peter 5:8, he is described as a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. This powerful image serves as a warning for Christians to be vigilant and firm in their faith. Persecution can take many forms, from personal temptations to physical and emotional attacks. Resisting these persecutions requires solid faith and continuous dependence on God for strength and protection. Recognizing Satan as the enemy can strengthen believers' determination to remain faithful. Lucifer's fall and transformation into Satan also raise questions about the nature of evil and free will. Lucifer's choice to rebel against God suggests that even celestial beings have the ability to choose between good and evil. This freedom of choice is a central theme in the biblical narrative and reflects the complexity of the moral nature of beings created by God. Lucifer's story highlights the devastating consequences of abusing this freedom and the importance of choosing to follow God's will. Lucifer's impact is felt not only in the Bible, but also in theology and popular culture. His story has been interpreted in various ways, inspiring works of literature, art, and philosophy. Lucifer's figure represents the eternal struggle between pride and humility, good and evil. In Christian theology, he serves as an example of the danger of rebellion against God and the need for redemption. Popular culture often portrays Lucifer as a complex and ambiguous character, reflecting the ongoing fascination and speculation about his nature and role. Lucifer's narrative culminates in his final defeat in Revelation, where he is cast into the lake of fire along with his followers. This final victory symbolizes the ultimate triumph of God over evil. Satan's defeat is a recurring theme that reinforces the hope and certainty of final victory for believers. This conclusion to Lucifer's story serves as a reminder that, despite present struggles and temptations, good will prevail in the end. The promise of final victory offers comfort and encouragement to those facing adversities. Thus, the story of Lucifer, from his exaltation and fall to his final defeat, is a rich and complex narrative that explores themes of pride, rebellion, and redemption. As we consider Lucifer's trajectory, we are led to reflect on the role of the angel of death, another powerful figure in the Bible, tasked with executing divine judgment. The angel of death is a formidable and enigmatic figure that appears in various biblical narratives, primarily in the context of divine judgments. One of the most notable mentions occurs in the book of Exodus, during the last of the 10 plagues sent to Egypt. God sends the angel of death to pass through the houses and take the lives of the firstborn, except those who had marked their doors with the blood of the Passover lamb. This action marks a crucial moment in the liberation of the Israelites from Egyptian slavery, emphasizing the severity and justice of God. The narrative of the angel of death in Exodus is filled with symbolism and theological significance. The blood of the lamb, which protected the Israelites, is often seen as a symbolic precursor to the sacrifice of Christ. This connection between the Old and New Testaments underscores the continuity of the message of redemption and divine protection. The story also highlights the importance of obedience and faith, as only those who followed God's specific instructions were spared from judgment. This divine action was a powerful reminder of the seriousness of sin and the necessity of adhering to God's commandments. Beyond Exodus, the angel of death appears in other biblical passages, often associated with executing divine judgment. In the second book of Samuel, the angel of death is sent by God to punish Israel after the census conducted by David, resulting in a plague that kills 70,000 people. This narrative illustrates the gravity of David's sin and God's severe response. The vision of the angel of death with a drawn sword over Jerusalem is a vivid image of imminent destruction and serves as a warning of God's absolute power over life and death. The role of the angel of death is also explored in the context of the final judgment, as described in the book of Revelation. Here, angels are often depicted as executors of divine judgments, pouring out bowls of wrath and sounding trumpets that trigger catastrophic events. Although the specific angel of death is not frequently mentioned, the presence of angels executing judgment reflects the continuity of the theme of divine judgment throughout the Bible. These apocalyptic events emphasize God's justice and the inevitability of His judgment upon humanity. The figure of the angel of death also raises questions about the nature of divine justice. Why does God use a specific angel to execute judgments? The use of a celestial intermediary underscores the separation between the divine and the human, and the sanctity of God's justice. The figure of the angel of death, with his authority to take lives, represents the seriousness with which God treats sin and disobedience. This concept can be difficult to understand, but it is central to biblical theology, which sees divine justice as perfect and impartial. In Jewish tradition, the angel of death is often identified as Samael, a fallen angel who executes God's decrees. This tradition emphasizes the function of the angel of death as a servant of God. Though his presence is feared and respected, Samael is seen as an instrument of purification, removing sin and impurity from the world through his actions. This perspective reflects the view that judgment and death are necessary parts of God's plan for redemption and renewal. The presence of the angel of death in the Scriptures also reminds us of the inevitability of death for all human beings. Death is a constant theme in the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, and the angel of death is a personification of this reality. He serves as a reminder that life is temporary and that everyone will be called to account for their actions before God. This awareness of mortality can inspire a life of righteousness and preparation for the final encounter with the Creator. The angel of death, with his fearsome role, also carries a message of hope for the faithful. In many traditions, he is seen not only as an executor of judgment, but also as a guide who leads the souls of the righteous into God's presence. This view offers comfort to believers, assuring them that death is not the end but a transition to eternal life with God. This duality of judgment and hope encapsulates the complexity of the angel of death's figure in biblical theology. The image of the angel of death has also permeated popular culture, appearing in literature, art, and cinema. These representations generally emphasize the fearful and relentless aspect of the angel, reflecting the universal fear of death. However, the biblical narrative offers a more balanced view, where the angel of death is both an agent of justice and a spiritual guide. This complexity makes the figure fascinating and multifaceted, capable of inspiring both fear and consolation. As we consider the role of the angel of death in the Bible, we are led to reflect on the nature of God's justice and mercy. The figure of the angel of death challenges us to face the reality of mortality and to live according to divine principles. At the same time, it offers hope of redemption and eternal life for those who remain faithful. This duality of judgment and hope is a central characteristic of the biblical message. Thus, reflecting on the figure of the angel of death leads us to consider the seraphim, the six-winged angels who surround God's throne and sing His glory incessantly. These celestial creatures offer a vision of worship and purity that contrasts with the role of the angel of death, deepening our understanding of the hierarchies and functions of angels in the Bible. Seraphim are a distinct class of angels described in the Bible, particularly in the book of Isaiah. They are known for their 6 wings and for being constantly in the presence of God, singing praises and proclaiming His holiness. The word seraphim comes from the Hebrew and means the burning ones, reflecting their nature of fire and purification. They are specifically mentioned in Isaiah 6, where the prophet describes his vision of God's throne, surrounded by seraphim who continuously cry out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of His glory." Isaiah's vision is one of the most vivid and powerful celestial descriptions found in the Bible. The seraphim, with their 6 wings, have a specific purpose for each pair of wings. 2 cover their faces, 2 cover their feet, and 2 are used for flying. This description is not only symbolic, but also indicates the reverence and humility of the seraphim before the majesty of God. They cover their faces and feet in a sign of respect, while the wings used for flying symbolize their readiness to serve God. The seraphim play a crucial role in celestial worship. They are continuously singing praises to God, highlighting His holiness and glory. This incessant singing is a reflection of divine perfection and purity. The repetition of "Holy, holy, holy" emphasizes the threefold nature of God's holiness, a concept that echoes in the New Testament with the Trinity. The constant presence of the seraphim in worship underscores the importance of continuous adoration and glorification of God in the lives of believers. Besides worship, the seraphim also have a purifying function. In Isaiah's vision, one of the seraphim flies to the prophet with a live coal taken from the altar and touches his lips, saying, "See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away and your sin atoned for." This act of purification symbolizes spiritual cleansing and preparation for Isaiah's prophetic calling. The live coal represents the holiness and purifying power of God, and the seraphim's action demonstrates divine mediation in the purification of sins. The presence of the seraphim in Isaiah's vision also highlights the importance of holiness in the presence of God. The seraphim, despite being celestial beings, cover their faces and feet, indicating that even the purest beings cannot look directly at God due to His incomparable holiness. This powerful image serves as a reminder of God's transcendence and the need for reverence and humility when approaching Him. Holiness is a central theme in the Bible, and the seraphim personify this quality in a unique way. Seraphim are also mentioned in apocryphal literature and ancient Jewish texts, where they are often associated with light and fire. These associations reinforce their purifying nature and their proximity to God. In Kabbalah, for example, the seraphim are seen as fiery beings burning with divine love. This image of fire symbolizes both the destruction of evil and spiritual illumination, highlighting the duality of their function as purifiers and worshipers. Christian iconography throughout the centuries has also depicted the seraphim in diverse and impressive ways. In medieval art, for example, they are often portrayed as radiant figures with multiple wings surrounding God's throne. These visual representations help convey the majesty and purity of the seraphim, as well as their closeness to the divine. Through art, the Church has transmitted theological visions of angels and the celestial hierarchy, with the seraphim occupying a prominent place. The seraphim, with their incessant worship and purifying role, also serve as models of service and devotion for believers. Their constant presence in worshiping God is a reminder of the importance of dedicating time and energy to glorifying God in our lives. Additionally, the purifying role of the seraphim highlights the need to seek holiness and purity in our spiritual journey. They are living examples of total dedication to divine service and worship. The contrast between the seraphim and other classes of angels, such as the cherubim, highlights the diversity and complexity of the celestial hierarchy. While the cherubim are often associated with protection and guarding, the seraphim are more closely linked to worship and purification. This differentiation helps us better understand the multifaceted nature of angels and their various functions in the divine plan. Understanding these distinctions can enrich our appreciation of angelic theology and the role of angels in the Bible. Finally, the vision of the seraphim around God's throne leads us to consider the ongoing battle between celestial beings and the forces of evil. While the seraphim represent purity and holiness, demons personify rebellion and corruption. This spiritual battle is a recurring theme in the Bible and is fundamental to understanding the struggle between good and evil. The next figure to be explored, demons, will offer us a deeper insight into this battle and the role of fallen angels in the biblical narrative. Demons, often described in the Bible as fallen angels, are beings who chose to rebel against God under the leadership of Lucifer, now known as Satan. Their story begins with Lucifer's fall, who, due to his pride and desire to usurp God's throne, was expelled from heaven along with a third of the angels who followed him. These rebellious angels became demons, agents of evil who seek to distance humanity from God. They are mentioned in various biblical passages depicted as beings that tempt, deceive, and oppress people. The activity of demons is clearly observed in the New Testament, where Jesus frequently exorcises evil spirits from possessed individuals. A notable example is the story of the Gadarene man possessed by a legion of demons, as recounted in the Gospels. Jesus, confronting these spirits, commands them to leave the man and enter a herd of pigs, which then rush into a lake and drown. This event demonstrates not only Jesus' power over demons, but also the destructive intent of these malevolent spirits. Demons are often associated with various forms of evil and suffering. They are described as beings that promote diseases, oppression, and possession. In the biblical narrative, they are seen causing epilepsy, blindness, and other physical and mental conditions. Their actions go beyond the physical, affecting the spiritual and emotional well-being of individuals. They are manipulators and deceivers, constantly seeking to destroy the relationship between God and humanity. This pernicious presence is a constant reminder of the spiritual battle believers face daily. The Bible also portrays demons as cunning and intelligent beings, capable of mimicking good to deceive. In 2 Corinthians 11:14, Paul warns that Satan can transform himself into an angel of light, and his servants can also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. This capacity for deception makes demons particularly dangerous, as they can present themselves as benign while promoting evil. Paul's warning is a call to vigilance and spiritual discernment to recognize and resist the deceitful tactics of demons. In the context of the Gospels, we see that Jesus gave his disciples authority to cast out demons in his name. This authority is a crucial aspect of Jesus' ministry and demonstrates God's supreme power over the forces of evil. The exorcisms performed by the disciples are tangible evidence of the kingdom of God invading the kingdom of Satan. Through these actions, the Gospels show that although demons are powerful, they are subject to Christ's authority and can be defeated by divine power. Demons also have a hierarchy and organization, reflecting the structure they maintained before their fall. Jesus mentions Beelzebub, considered the prince of demons, and other passages refer to principalities and powers. This hierarchy suggests a coordinated organization in the kingdom of darkness, where each demon has a specific role in promoting evil. The existence of this organized structure underscores the seriousness of the spiritual battle and the need to be spiritually prepared to face it. Demonic possession, a frightening and mysterious phenomenon, is frequently described in the Bible. Individuals possessed by demons exhibit violent, superhuman, and self-destructive behaviors. In many cases, these possessions result in social isolation and extreme suffering. The deliverance of these individuals, as seen in the Gospel accounts, is always a powerful testimony to God's love and power. Jesus' ability to free the possessed demonstrates his compassion and authority over all aspects of evil. Demons seek not only to destroy physically, but also spiritually. They work to corrupt faith and sow doubt and fear in the hearts of believers. This spiritual attack is one of the most subtle and insidious tactics of demons, as it aims to gradually and almost imperceptibly distance people from God. The Bible emphasizes the importance of being firmly anchored in faith and of using the armor of God as described in Ephesians 6 to resist the attacks of the evil one. Prayer, the study of scriptures, and fellowship with other believers are essential in this ongoing struggle. The role of demons in the Bible is complex and multifaceted. They are not only agents of destruction, but also test the faith and resilience of believers. In various passages, we see that resistance to evil results in spiritual growth and strengthening of faith. The presence of demons and the struggle against them are part of the grand drama of redemption, where good and evil are in constant conflict. This conflict, however, has a certain conclusion in the final victory of God over Satan and his followers. Ultimately, demons, with all their power and malice, are reminders of the need to constantly depend on God. They illustrate the reality of evil and the seriousness of the spiritual battle that everyone faces. However, the Bible also assures us that God is sovereign and that through Christ, believers have the power to resist and overcome these evil forces. This knowledge offers comfort and hope, strengthening the determination to live a faithful and devoted life. As we explore the narrative of demons, we are led to consider the figure of Melchizedek, a mysterious character who also carries profound meanings in biblical theology. Melchizedek is one of the most enigmatic and fascinating figures in the Bible, first mentioned in the book of Genesis. He appears suddenly in the narrative, without introduction or genealogy, as the king of Salem and priest of the Most High God. This appearance occurs when Abraham returns from a victorious battle, and Melchizedek offers him bread and wine, blessing him in God's name. In response, Abraham gives Melchizedek a tithe of all he possesses. This brief but significant interaction raises many questions about Melchizedek's identity and role in biblical history. The lack of genealogy for Melchizedek is particularly notable, as it contrasts with the Bible's usual emphasis on lineages. This absence leads many to see him as a timeless figure, possibly a type of Christ. In the book of Hebrews, Melchizedek is described as without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, resembling the Son of God. This description reinforces the idea that Melchizedek serves as a prefiguration of Jesus, highlighting the eternal and priestly nature of both. Melchizedek is also mentioned in Psalm 110, where God declares to the Messiah, "You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek." This verse is crucial for Christian theology, as it connects Melchizedek with Jesus, suggesting an eternal and superior priesthood to the Levitical priesthood. The order of Melchizedek is thus seen as an older and more enduring priestly order that transcends the temporal and genealogical limitations of the Levitical priesthood. The offering of bread and wine by Melchizedek to Abraham is laden with symbolism. Many scholars and theologians view this as a prefiguration of the Eucharist, the Christian sacrament that celebrates the body and blood of Christ. This connection between Melchizedek and Jesus is reinforced by the use of the same symbolic elements, underscoring the continuity and depth of the redemption message in the Bible. The blessing Melchizedek gives to Abraham also highlights his spiritual authority and intimate connection with God. Melchizedek's role as king and priest is unique and significant. In ancient Israel, these functions were generally separate, with the king governing the people and the priest mediating between God and man. Melchizedek, however, unites these two functions in one person, prefiguring the kingship and priesthood of Christ. Jesus, as the Messiah, is both King of Kings and High Priest, mediating the new covenant between God and humanity. This duality of roles highlights the fullness of Christ's mission. The city of Salem, where Melchizedek was king, is generally identified with Jerusalem. The name Salem means peace, adding another layer of meaning to Melchizedek's figure. As king of Salem, Melchizedek is seen as a king of peace, reflecting Jesus' role as the Prince of Peace. Jerusalem later becomes the spiritual and political center of Israel. and Melchizedek's connection to this city reinforces his significance in the biblical narrative. The blessing Melchizedek gives to Abraham is another crucial point in his brief appearance. He blesses Abraham, saying, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand." This blessing acknowledges God's sovereignty over all creation and Abraham's victory as a result of divine intervention. Melchizedek's blessing not only confirms Abraham's divine election, but also highlights Melchizedek's intimate connection with the Most High God. Christian theology views Melchizedek as a typological figure, someone who prefigures and points to Christ. The book of Hebrews explores this typology in depth, arguing that Melchizedek's priesthood is superior to Aaron's because it is eternal and based on righteousness. Jesus, as a priest in the order of Melchizedek, offers a perfect and eternal sacrifice, surpassing the temporary sacrifices of the Levitical priesthood. This interpretation reinforces the belief in the superiority and sufficiency of Christ's sacrifice. Melchizedek's figure also raises interesting questions about the nature of priesthood and kingship in the Bible. He exemplifies a form of leadership that is both spiritual and temporal, offering a vision of what it means to be a true leader in the biblical sense. Melchizedek is a model of how spiritual authority should be exercised, with justice, peace, and service. This combination of characteristics makes Melchizedek a unique and inspiring figure in the biblical narrative. Finally, Melchizedek invites us to reflect on the mysteries of faith and divine revelation. His sudden appearance and connection with deep themes of Christian theology show how the Bible intertwines stories and symbols to convey profound spiritual truths. Melchizedek is a reminder that God's revelation is rich and multifaceted, and that there is always more to learn and discover in his scriptures. Contemplating Melchizedek leads us to explore the depths of divine wisdom. Thus, considering Melchizedek and his role in biblical theology concludes our journey through some of the most mysterious and significant beings in the Bible. These characters, each in their own way, enrich our understanding of the divine and challenge us to reflect on our own faith and spiritual journey. Now that we have explored in depth the most mysterious beings in the Bible, it's impossible not to feel the immense richness and complexity of the biblical narrative. Each character, from the 24 elders to Melchizedek, offers us a unique vision of God's power, holiness, and justice. But more than that, they challenge us to reflect on our own spiritual lives and our relationship with the divine. So the big question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Are you ready to apply the lessons learned from the cherubim, who represent purity and vigilance, or from Melchizedek, who symbolizes justice and eternal peace? Consider how you can incorporate the humility of recognizing human limitations, as the seraphim did, or the need to resist evil, as exemplified in the struggle against demons. These biblical beings are not just ancient stories, they are reflections of our own spiritual journey and the ongoing battle between good and evil. And what about your own faith? Are you willing to deepen your relationship with God and seek a life of holiness and devotion? Think about the concrete actions you can take from now on, dedicating more time to prayer, studying the scriptures more diligently, or becoming more actively involved in your faith community. Every step you take towards a more spiritual life and connection with God is a step towards the light, following the examples we have learned. We want to continue this journey together. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content. Here, you will find more in-depth studies, spiritual reflections, and practical tips to strengthen your faith. Join us, and let's grow together spiritually, understanding more and more the wonders of the Bible and applying its lessons in our daily lives. What is the next lesson you want to learn? How have these biblical studies impacted your life? Leave your comments and share your ideas with us. We want to hear your stories and know how we can help you on your spiritual journey. And remember, we are here to walk together on this incredible journey of faith.